ఓం శ్రీ గణేశాయ నమః. ఓం శ్రీ సరస్వతి దేవ్యై నమః. ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. ఓం సాయిరామ్. అనంతకోటి బ్రహ్మాండ నాయక మహారాజాదిరాజ యోగిరాజ పరబ్రహ్మ సచ్చిదానంద భక్త ప్రతిపాలక సమర్థ సద్గురు షేగాన్ నివాసి శ్రీ గజానన్ మహారాజ్ కి జై. శ్రీ గజానన్ మహారాజ్ విజయ గ్రంథ్ చాప్టర్ 19. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Jai to thee who doles out joy. Jai to thy impermeable form. Let my devotion remain at your feet with no discrimination of any sort. O Raghupati, come and bless me. Great ones like you should never be harsh. O Ananta, give me a chance to express my part. O Jagannath, don't fail me in my efforts. When Sri Maharaj was at Shegon, a Brahmin, Kashinath Ganderao Garde, came to the town for his darshan. He prostrated before the Maharaj and was happy to see him as a liberated person. Kashinath's father had described him so at Komgon. He felt fortunate to come and see him at Shegon. While he was thinking so, Maharaj pushed him with his elbow. With this push, Maharaj said, "Go home, your desire is fulfilled. A postman is waiting for you at the door. He has a telegram for you to read." Kashinath was confused and couldn't comprehend the meaning of what the Maharaj said, as he had not come to ask for anything, nor could he ask Maharaj about the meaning. He bowed down to the saint with folded hands and returned to his place calm gone. A postman was really waiting at the entrance with a telegram addressed to him. He read the message within an instant. It said he was promoted as Munsif and was posted at Morshi office. This made him understand the saint's elbow kick. Once Maharaj went to Nagpur city on an invitation of Sri Bhuti. Nagpur was the capital of Bhosale's kingdom, but had now lost all its grandeur. This was because of losing freedom, which turned an owner into a beggar and bestowed greatness on foreigners. Elephants and horses were replaced by motors. Changing times have such an effect, and for this no one is to be blamed. Sri Gopal Bhuti's residence was in Sita Bardi, and Maharaj was housed in a palatial building. This was like enclosing a tiger in a fortified place away from strangers. Sri Gopal Bhuti's invitation was to keep Maharaj at Nagpur forever. For Shegon people, he appeared as Akrur, taking away Sri Krishna to Mathura. Shegon became a deserted place. They asked Hari Patil to arbitrate. "Please bring him back to Shegon," they said. "Without him, our town looks dead. You are the head here, and he is a rich man. You Jains can fight like elephants. It takes an elephant to fight an elephant, not a puny fox from the crowd." Maruti was selected to face Jambumali and Arjun with Karna in the bouts. They requested Hari to go to Nagpur and get the saint back to Shegon soon. In fact, the saint stayed reluctantly at Nagpur, like God Sri Krishna at Hastinapur. Maharaj repeatedly asked Bhuti to let him go. Bhuti ignored the request, dissuading him from doing so. Though Bhuti was a pious and decent person, he was also proud of his possessions. He called scores of people to dine with the saint and participate in devotional songs throughout the day. But he did not allow Shegon people to visit Maharaj. Guests who came to take him were turned back. Now it was Hari Patil's turn. The great devotee boarded the train along with some selected friends on his journey to Nagpur city to bring back the beloved saint. Simultaneously, Maharaj at Nagpur said, "O Gopal, let me go away from here before Hari Patil reaches Nagpur. All peace here will be lost soon. You do possess lot of wealth, but he has executive power and strength." Hari arrived at Nagpur and entered Bhuti's house by force, pushing away watchmen at the gate of course. At this time, a big feast was in the offing. with many Brahmins squatting on sesame plank seats, with silver plates and bowls and good food to eat. Maharaj was sitting in the center on a decorated seat. Such was Bhuti's wealthy decor. He was called the Kuber of Nagpur. Maharaj rushed to the door when he saw Hari Patil, like a cow running to her calf after a long parting. He said, "Oh, Hari, let us go back to Shegon. I don't want to stay here any longer. It is good that you have come." So saying, he started walking out of there. Gopal rushed forward and caught his feet, saying, "Maharaj, don't go before you eat. Kindly oblige me by making your meals, and then you may go wherever you like." Then he said to Hari Patil, "Please give this a pause. Join us in taking prasad with Sri Maharaj. I understand that he wants to go back at all cost. I request you to save my prestige in front of the Brahmins. If Maharaj does not eat any food, they will also leave. It will be a matter of shame for me. So please join the feast before you go." Hari Patil agreed to this. Maharaj and devotees took their meals. A lot of people gathered to take the saint's darshan. Janaki Bai, wife of Gopal Bhuti, goddess of the household, was a very pious lady. She bowed down to Maharaj's feet and said her wish remained unfulfilled. Maharaj understood what she said and applied kunku to her forehead. He blessed, "You will get one more son who will be very victorious. You will attain salvation during the time of your husband." Saying thus, Maharaj left for Raghuji's Raje Bosale's place. Raghuji Raje was pious and noble. He was a person most liberal and an ardent devotee of Sri Ram. His assets were blessings of Maharaj. Though he had lost his kingdom large, then he went to Ramtek after taking darshan of Sri Ram. With Hari, he returned to Shegon. Swami Sri Ranganath, a great saint of Dar Kalyan, came to meet Gajanan Maharaj. They exchanged notes in their own way, not decipherable in a simple way. Sri Vasudevanand Saraswati, born at Mangon, came to visit the saint at Shegon. He lived on the banks of Krishna river and believed in ritualistic form of prayer. When he was to come to Shegon, Maharaj called Balabahu and said, "One of my brothers is coming tomorrow. Be sure he is properly respected. He is very orthodox. See that the premises are clean. No dirty pieces of cloth should be seen. If he sees any, he will be annoyed like Jamadagni. That Karhada Brahmin is always clean. He is learned man of discipline. He will never compromise on the right procedure of religious rites." So said Maharaj a day previous to the visit. Swami arrived at Shegon at the right minute. They looked at each other and smiled. Both appeared immensely happy. One was a believer in karma and the other was in yoga. One was like the sweet fragrance of jasmine, the other was that of rose sublime. One was like the sacred Ganges, the other like Godavari river of sages. One was the incarnation of Shiva, the other Vishnu, resting on the king of serpents. When Swamiji came into the chamber, Maharaj was sitting on his cot, snapping his thumb with fingers. The snapping stopped when he arrived. The two saints looked at each other. Then Swami sought permission to depart from there. Balabahu was surprised. He desired his doubts to be clarified. He said, "You two have different ways, yet you called him your brother. It is strange." Maharaj appreciated Bala's question. There are three paths to reach the omniscient. They all take you to the same destination, the final point of self realization. They appear different and confuse the onlooker. Karma mark emphasizes on cleanliness and silken wear, sacredness of human touch and worship thrice a day, fasting and rituals in a disciplined way. One who goes this way is a real orthodox. Any omission deprives him of the Karm Marg. He has got to be careful on this course. He shouldn't hurt others even by words. Bhakti Marg. Stress is an devotional prayer. Here, the mind has to be crystal clear. Even a shadow of an unclean thought will deprive the person of what is sought. Compassion, love, and modesty must rule the heart of the devotee. He must have faith in scriptures and worship, and continuously have the name of God on his lips. These are the requirements of Bhakti Marg. One who acquires them can meet God. This is the easiest way of self realization, but practicing it is harder than the karma mark direction. Like the sky posing an illusion of being nearer to the viewer. The spread out of yoga mark is bigger than these. It lies in the mind of the practitioner. A person following the yoga mark requires no external methods. Whatever is in the universe around can be found in his inventory. He travels the path of yoga with all these things inside. Yet he has to know the methods regularly required in the series. Asan, Richak, Kumbhak, knowledge of Ida and Pingala veins, Dhauti and Mudra Tratak, the yogi should know for this success. Knowledge of Kundalini and Sushumna should show him the right path. This will lead him to knowledge of self. Yet it has to include love for all. Any action without love is a waste. It is thus essential to preserve the love aspect. On all the three self realization trails color of the skin, tall, short, beautiful, and ugly are just attributes of the body. They have no effect on the soul. Everyone looks different but has a soul in the same mold. The same thing can be said of the three paths. They look different but have the same target. This disparity is totally forgotten when they finally attain their object. The path one follows is important to him. Those who fail brag about superiority of their trail. Those who succeed become saints. Once they reach such a spot, they merge in as one as a supreme thought. Vasishta, Vamadev, Jamadagni, Atri, Parashar, Shandilya Muni traveled the Karma Marg with great dignity. Vyas, Narad, Kayadukumar, Maruti, Shabari, Akrur. Uddhav, Sudama, Parth, and Vidur took Bhakti Marg as their round. Sri Shankaracharya Guruvar, Machindra, Gorakh, Jalandhar touched self realization by following Yoga Marg tradition. Vasishta, Vidur, and Machindra each type got the same fruit of salvation. The tradition rolled on. Don't ever doubt it. Sri Pad Vallabh and Narasingha Saraswati from Gangapur, Adumberwadi protected the Karma Marg practice. Namadev, Savata, Dhyaneshwar, Kanhu, Chokkamahar, Damaji Pant, Tanedar took Bhakti Marg path of devotion. Sheikh Muhammad of Sri Gonda, Anandi Swami of Jalna, Surji, Anjangons Devnath were all followers Yoga Marg. Presently, Vasudev has Karma Marg, and I go by Bhakti Marg, like many others on the devotional trail, like Dondi Buva of Palus. Saint Nana of Sonagir, Yashwantrao of Jalna, Kala Amma committed to Almighty, Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi, Gulab Rao with intellectual insight, Saint Adakuji of Parked in Chandur Taluka, Saint Zing Raji of Murha, Nagpur's Tajuddin Baba, though their ways were different, they commanded a saintly status. We, all brothers, have come to this earth to show to the devotees the right path to know the divinity. Each one will take the path of his choice and will ultimately rejoice and find salvation at the feet of Almighty. Now, Balabahu, don't ask me further, nor tell of this dialogue to others. Let me sit here quietly under the garb of being crazy. Those who have faith in me and have my love will see the fulfillment of their desires. I don't need the others. Knowledge about the supreme reality is to be imparted to those who are eager to study and not to non believers and the scornful. We have to be steadfast on our path to walk towards the omnipotent God. Tears rolled from Balabuhu's eyes when he heard the sublime advice. He was overwhelmed with love. His body shivered with extreme bliss. Beyond all words to describe, he bowed down to the saint, bent on saving the oppressed. Among his other devotees was Salubai. Once Maharaj said to her, "Take flour and pulses and cook day and night for the devotees. Go on feeding all those who come here. You will be dearer to God Narayan." Salubai of Vizapur observed the routine. She is still alive in Shegon town. One Prahlad Buva Joshi had an opportunity of being blessed by Maharaj but lost it unfortunately. There was one Tulasiram at Jalamb near Kamgaon. He had an intelligent son named Atmaram. Because of his special liking for Veda scripts, he went to Kashi for further analysis. A bath in Ganges, food from alms, studying with Guru was his daily program. Today's students are different. They waste their time in entertainment. There is no chance of learning with this type of predisposition. Atmaram had his own identity. He was aware of his responsibility. On return from his studies, he went to Shegon to pay respects to Shri Gajanan Maharaj. Atmaram had learned the Vedas diction, but Maharaj was the son of all comprehension. He recited the script along with Atmaram and corrected him wherever he was wrong. It was a surprise for everyone in the assembly to see the saint recite Vedas so fluently. How can a honey bee ever be away from the source of honey? Atmaram used to come to Shegon from Jalam and offer his services to the sacred mission. So much was his devotion that after Maharaj's sojourn, Atmaram looked after his memorial. He never accepted any remuneration for his selfless devotion. On the contrary, offered a donation. He gave up his property, house, and land to the temple trust command, never bothered about the amount. It is the devotion that counts. Sabari achieved the grace of Sri Ram by offering berries from the farm. Atmaram's humble donation brought him the same results. Dattatreya Kedar, Narayan Jamkar, and Dudahari Buva, who lived on milk simply, were sincere devotees of the saint only. Maruti Patwari of Morgan Bakre in Balapur Tahsil had Timaji Mali in his service. Timaji's job was to guard the crops in the Patwari's fields. One night, Timaji fell asleep on the heap of grains in the field. Some donkeys entered the premises and started gobbling from the heap. As Maruti was a devotee of Maharaj, the saint had to rush to the field to save the precious yield. He called Timaji to wake up from sleep. Timaji woke up to see Maharaj disappearing from the scene. He saw the donkeys and drove them away, but thought of Maruti's wrath at the break of the day. He realized that he had betrayed the boss. Nearly half of the heap was already gone. Timaji had a great sense of responsibility. There was no excuse for negligence of duty. As against this present day servants do not care for the interest of the master and are dishonest and arrogant. Temaji was not of that class. He was unhappy over the loss. He could not find reasons to excuse himself. He decided to own responsibility of the loss. and beg pardon from the boss. Though in his mind he was sure that Maruti will forgive him for his behavior, he thus went to Maruti and humbly touched his feet. He said, "My sleep has put you to loss. While I slept, the donkeys consumed the half. Please come to estimate the damage and relieve me of my anxiety, Saint." Maruti said he had no time to inspect the field. He was going to Shegon for his darshan routine. However, on his return, he would visit the scene. When Maruti reached Maharaj in the morning, the saint was sitting with Jahu Patel and Balabahu near him. Maharaj smiled mildly and said, "I had lot of trouble last night. As a devotee, you have used me as a watchman at sight. You employ lazy servants and sleep comfortably. At night, the donkeys devoured your grain stealthily. So I went and woke up Timaji. I asked him to watch the stock and came back. Maruti was quick enough to understand. He bowed down to the saint and said, "You are our sole supporter. Responsibility of a child is on the mother. Whatever we possess belongs to you. You are in control of what we do. The heap of grain is yours. Just for name's sake, Timaji was there. You control the universe from here. A mother tolerates trouble given by children. I, being a child, you rush to Morgon to save me from incurring loss. I will go back and remove Timaji from service." Maharaj said, "No, no, this is not justice. He is honest and felt sorry for his lapse. Did he not come to you to report the mishap? He even suggested you to go to the field to access the loss in the yield. You told him you are coming here and go to the field after returning there." Maruti was overwhelmed by the limitless kindness of Sri Gajanan the saint. No one had spoken to him of donkeys entering the field, yet he knew everything that what happened in the night by his inner vision. In Shak 1816, an incident occurred in Balapur city. Maharaj was sitting in the veranda of a house of Shuklal Bansilal. He was bare-bodied 100%. Passerbys paid respect to the saint. A police constable happened to go in that street. His name was Narayan Asrarji. He lost his temper looking at Maharaj and said the man was a hypocrite. He is sitting naked intentionally, and this should not be tolerated kindly. He poured abuses on the saint. Not satisfied, he beat him with a cane. In spite of the cane marks on the body, Asrarji went on hitting him badly. A shopkeeper named Hundiwala intervened and said, "It is not proper to beat a saint. You have no reason to act in this manner. God is the protector of saints on this earth. Look at the cane marks on his body and put an end to this absurdity. This was you. You are inviting your own death, like a sick man ignoring rules of good health. You are doing the same by hitting a pious man. It is not still late to beg pardon from Maharaj." The Havaldar said, "There is no reason for me to beg his pardon. A curse from a crow won't kill animals. This naked man on main roadside is uttering filthy words. To brand me wrong is simple injustice." The prophecy proved to be true. The Havaldar and his relatives died in a fortnight without any clue. Thus, each one has to be cautious in rating people around us to determine their credentials, hypocrites or saints, as it happened in Havaldar's case. In the district of Nagar, a small but beautiful town of Sangamner is situated on the banks of Pravara River. The famous poet named Anand Handi came from his small town only. A man named Hari Jakhadi lived there. He was a Yajurvedi Brahmin poor and moved from place to place for survival. In his travel, he reached Shegon. to have a darshan of Sri Gajanan Maharaj. He saw thousands distributing prasad, celebrating fulfillment of what they asked with the blessings of Gajanan Maharaj. Looking to all that, he thought, it appears I may have to go back without getting the grace I want. It is because of my bad luck, my luck stands like a rock. No vegetation, even grass, grows on such a surface. I get food one day and know not the fate of next day. Such has been the life so far. No one will get me a bride. I am a pauper. O Swami Gajanan, abode of happiness rife, I desire the pleasure of married life. I would like to have a virtuous wife, to have a marital bond, to rejoice. As Jakhade was engaged in these thoughts, Maharaj pondered in a different sort. He spat on Jagade and said, others want to get out, but this person wants to get into the mundane net. He looked at Hari Jagade and said, you will get everything you have desired, a wife and a happy married life, with children and money on your side. Now go home and enjoy your lot. Don't ever forget the Almighty God. Maharaj gave him money for marriage expenses. He lived a happy life. How can the grace of a saint go waste? Once Sri Ramachandra Govind Nimonkar with Vasudev Bendre went to Mukhana river, which runs through the hills of Sahyadri in the Tahsil of Nashik at Igatpuri. The woods there were lush green, fruit-laden trees stooped bending, wild animals roaming without encumbrance. Along the river ran a small stream. It flowed through a narrow valley called Kapiladhara by many. It is considered holy in countless ways. People bathe therein on auspicious days. Nimonkar was a yoga scholar. He desired to extend his knowledge further. He inquired with ascetics at the place. They all turned down his request. Disappointed by this, he folded his hands and implored God to show him the right man. Suddenly, he saw a person at Kapiladhara who could teach him the ways of yoga. He had long arms reaching his knees, who appeared to be a sage indeed. His calm man, with face so calm, was sitting there in meditation for long. Nimonkar prostrated before him and waited till evening for him to open his eyes. The yogi did not open eyes nor said anything. Throughout the day, he didn't eat a thing. Other ascetics returned with the approach of evening. With folded hands, Nimonkar begged knowledge from the sage. The sage gave him a chart and said, this hymn has 16 words. Keep repeating them. You may learn yoga by their strength. Following yoga mark is difficult. As you know, an insect can't circle Himalayan region, nor can a live sea shell climb Meru mountain. You may try yoga by being a bachelor and keeping your mind and body cleaner. If you do it with all sincerity, you may learn some asana without difficulty. Don't ask me any more questions. Take this prasad. The sage gave him a red pebble and vanished. The same yogi met Nimonkar at Nashik by the Godavari river. He ran to the saint and caught his feet and said, you seem to be fed up with me. Last time we met, you never gave me your name or address of the place to meet. Maharaj said, the red pebble I gave you tells my name. This is from Narmada and indicates God Ganesh. You couldn't guess it as it is hard to understand. My name is Gajanan and I am from Shegon. Come with me to the residence of Dumal where we will discuss about yoga and all. Thus saying, Maharaj disappeared as he talked. Nimonkar went to Dumal's place, where he was happy to see Maharaj again. He bowed down to Maharaj in his mind and told Dumal happenings at Kapiladhara and Nashik. Dumal was happy and praised the saint, advised Nimonkar to worship the pebble every day and perform the ascents in a regular way. Tukaram Kokate at Shegon faced the misfortune of losing his offspring when it was born. To Maharaj, he promised a child. Out of those which survived, by the grace of Maharaj, he got 3 children, one of which was to be given to the saint. Tukaram forgot about his promise because of his immense love for his offspring. Narayan, the eldest son, got sick one day. Medicines could not help him in any way. Tukaram remembered at this moment the promise he had made to the saint. Narayan survived and served the saint with grace, with a message to all to honor their promise. In the month of Ashad, Maharaj and Hari Patel went to Pandharpur city to meet Vittal, the Supreme Almighty. God, addressed by many names as Kalpataru, Kamalnab, and the all in all of saints, controller of the universe, and acclaimed by Vedas as protector of all, consort of Rukmini, residing in saints' hearts, compassionate and kind to devotees from all paths and of all sorts. Maharaj arrived at Pandharpur and took bath in Chandrabhaga river. Then he went to the temple to meet God Vittal. His prayer to Almighty was simple. O protector of all devotees, all powerful, consort of Rukmini, please listen to my appeal. As per your command, I have lived in this world fulfilling desires of devotees. You know my mission is now over. I seek your permission to go away from here. I wish to stay at your feet at Vaikunth in the ensuing month of Bhadrapad. Thus saying, Maharaj folded his hands. Tears rolled from his eyes at the thought of separation from Hari, who befriended him a lot. Hari Patel asked him with folded hands, why these tears? Have I hurt you by any means? Please tell me. I am perturbed at this scene. The saint replied, you will not understand it, even when I explain to you the reason. It requires a deeper perception. Do not harbor any tension. I can only say that our association is now coming to an end. Let us return to Shagon this moment. Prosperity will always reign on you and your descendants. Celebrations of return were over. Hari Patel looked anxious, however. He told the people of what Maharaj said, of his association coming to an end. In the month of Shravan, Maharaj got weak day by day. At Ganesh Chaturthi in Bhadrapad, here is what he said. Now, all of you should come to the monastery for the immersion of Ganapati. It is said in Ganesh Puran that an idol of Ganesh be made of earth on Chaturthi. After worshipping and offering sweets, it should be immersed in water. Next day, Panchami. That day is now here. Celebrate it by immersing my body in water. Don't weep at all. And don't forget, I will always be here to protect and guide you forever and ever. I can never forget you. Throw away torn clothes and wear new, said Sri Krishna to Arjun in Gita on the field. To that advice I will now yield and change my body as other saints did. Maharaj spent Chaturthi in a happy mood with Balabahu and devotees of the neighborhood. Next day, holding Balabahu's hand, he said, don't think I have left you. Keep up the devotion. Never ever forget me. I am here only for your information. Saying so, the great saint stopped his breath and by pranayam pulled it up his head. This was at the noon of Bhadrapad Shudh Panchami, Thursday in Sadaharananam Samvatsar, Shak 1832. While holding up his breath, he uttered Jai Gajanan and merged himself in Supreme Brahma at Shegon. His movements stopped thereafter, plunging the atmosphere into sorrow and despair. Very soon, the sad news went around through the villages and towns. People gathered in great haste. They cried, beating their chest, Gone is our living God. He is gone forever. Gone is the Savior of downtrodden and poor. Gone is our solace and comfort and happiness. Winds of time have extinguished the flame of knowledge. O Gajanan, you were our guardian. Who will offer us protection now? There was no reason to leave us so soon. All devotees, Vishnusa, Bankatlal, Martan Patil, Tarachan, Shipatrao Kulkarni, Hari Patil rushed to the monastery. It was the day of Rishi Panchami. All of them decided to close Maharaj Samadhi the next morning. This was announced at the site. They decided to wait till the evening for devotees to come and pay respect. They remarked that fortunate ones will get darshan. This news went around to various sections. Govind Shastri Dongonkar, a learned person, said Maharaj would keep the life flame burning till the affectionate devotees keep coming. To prove that, he said, Keep some butter on his head. The lump melted with the warmth. This was the effect of Yoga Shastra acquired by Maharaj. Govind Shastri said Maharaj can live like this for a year, but it was advisable to close Samadhi after darshan are over. It was agreed by all. 1,000 devotees sang devotional songs. Devotees who lived far away from Shegon got the news in their dreams flashed by Maharaj. A huge crowd of devotees gathered at Shegon that Rishi Panchami. A chariot was decorated for his last journey. Many bhajan singers reached Shegon in big processions. Roads were cleaned and decorated with rangoli, illuminations with all over to celebrate the journey. Maharaj was moved to the decorated chariot and the last journey started. It went round the town all night, proceeded by musical bands on the ride. Small groups sang bhajans. Others said Jai to Sri Vittal. Tulasi, Gulal, Bukha were showered on Maharaj, distributing sweets as the saint's prasad. Some from the crowd showered rupees and coins on the chariot carrying the saint. The procession moving through Shegon reached the monastery at the dawn. He was carried to the place of Samadhi and bathed to the chanting of religious melodies. Final worship was offered with rituals and honor. The gathering shouted, Jai Gajanan! Jai Gajanan! Jai to the God who came as a man! Jai to him who bestows immense bliss! Jai to the Lord of this globe! Saying thus, the body was rested, with head to the north at Samadhi's place. Everyone watched it saying, Jai Gajanan. The pit was filled with salt, argaja, abir, and so on. The saint is still there. Prayers are offered for 10 days. Large gatherings visited the place. Each one was offered food on those dates as prasad of Gajanan Maharaj the saint. Innumerable devotees participated in the ritual. Greatness of a saint is really supreme. Even an emperor is insignificant before him. We hope this treatise brings happiness to the devotees. Jai Gajanan. End of chapter 19.